3, 2, 1, Jiminy. Did you say something? Say something again. You're not saying anything. You're silent. You're not even on mute. You're messing with me.
With you.
Oh, there you go. Happened.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
That's very weird. I have a ton of earwax. Oh my God, that's disgusting.
Here, try it again. Ready? Say something real quick.
Something real quick.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Nacho Average Daddios Podcast, the pilot episode, very first one. My name is Sam Skibbe, one of your hosts, one of the Average Daddios, one of the Nacho Average Daddios, alongside Mr. Spencer Bogad. Spencer, thanks for joining us. We're finally here.
Sam, thanks for having me. People call you the cheese and they call me the chip. And together we make nachos, and we're not average. We're Nacho Average. And my name is Spencer, like you said, and I am so excited to be here with you, buddy, and to embark on this amazing adventure we're going to go on together.
There are so many podcasts out there, Spencer. Let's be real. Ours hopefully will be a little bit different, but, a lot of the same maybe too. But it's just something fun that we decided. We've actually been talking about this for quite some time. It was like a New Year's resolution that is finally coming to fruition, Spencer.
It is. And it's one of those things that, if you can turn on a computer and record your voice, you can make a podcast. And we are striving to be one of the best. So if you stick with us, friends, we'll give you plenty of tips, advice, and knowledge on the comings and goings of being a dad, life, sports, wiffle ball. Anybody a wiffle ball fan out there? We got all sorts of stuff coming to you on this here podcast, and we're very excited to bring it.
Spencer, whatever we want to talk about, the world is our oyster, and the podcast world itself can be an even bigger oyster for us to take, grab, and slurp on down with some hot sauce and crackers. So, we have actually been at this before. Not only do we have a side wiffle ball podcast that we do occasionally, but we've actually had our own duo podcast together where we actually talk Survivor, one of our favorite TV shows, and we were a sponsored podcast, Spencer.
We were, and some may say that people have been begging for us to come back.
I know.
I will not say who those people are, but they're out there. And guess what, folks? We're here.
So, it lives in folklore, those old days of the Survivor podcast. We had some fun Survivor castaways that even joined us, and some of them even have their company sponsor the podcast itself. So if you're a company out there looking to sponsor some Nacho Average Daddios, then hey, we're your two guys here. So we are dads first, Spencer. Let's talk about that. We're dads and husbands first off, before our careers, before our wiffle ball careers, and before everything else that we do. We are daddios first. So let's talk about our families. Our families are close. This also gives us another chance. This podcast gives a chance for you and I to connect and continue to connect as friends. We've had some great connections in the past, but talk about your family. And then, we'll talk about some connections between the two of ours.
Yeah, I am married to my lovely wife. I call her Courtney Baby. And she and I have been married for 5 years. Coming up in April, we're actually taking a 5-year anniversary trip, and we're going to Italy, believe it or not.
Wow, that is
a long way away. We're going to the Amalfi Coast, and we're just going to set sail below George Clooney's mansion.
Wow.
But yeah, we have a son who is 2. He does not sleep. Going through a massive sleep regression, but we love him nonetheless. And being a dad is one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me, besides being a husband. So Michael is my son,
Mikey, yeah.
And very, very, very proud of him. So
we'll definitely be talking about Mikey and all of his adventures and throughout this podcast, and his love of hockey that you've passed down with him. I'm sure that'll come up too. So it's, talk about, Spencer, you and your family, you go back and forth. Your dad's name is Michael, your name is Spencer. Talk about that dynamic. I'm sure there's some listeners out there that have that same pattern going on.
Yeah. So my dad's name is Michael, and his dad's name was Michael, and his dad's name was Michael. And then my name is Spencer, which isn't Michael,
No.
and my son's name is Michael.
Yep.
So basically, long story short, my dad's middle name is Eugene, and he did not want to name me Michael Eugene. He wanted to name me Michael and then something else. And my mom said, "You can't name him Michael unless it's Eugene because that's the name."
That's it.
So they went with Spencer, but I love my dad. My dad is one of my heroes. He's one of my best friends. He's an amazing role model, and from a very young age, I decided if I ever had a son, I would love to name him Michael and continue that family tradition, kind of rekindling that family tradition. I think your name for people, it's for some people it's an afterthought. To me, I think it's really important. It's kind of like how you start every day.
Yeah,
It's how you make your first impressions, and
absolutely.
I thought it was really, really important to give my son a great name, and what a better name than to give him the name of one of the best people I've ever met. So,
I'm sure there's some listeners out there too that have similar patterns or something like that. My dad's ex-business partner, his son and his dad before him, they just switched off first and middle names. They constantly switched. Every generation was just a switch
yeah,
of the middle and the first. So I wonder if there's any other different patterns like that. So,
yeah.
and
Well,
your
what
dad,
about you? What about you? No, now I got to hear about you, Sam. I mean, you've
well,
got your own family, and
that's
you've got a
true.
name as well.
I do. We have names as well. We went kind of the different route with the names. I have three kids, love them all dearly. With my wife Anne and my oldest son Jackson, 13 years old. Yes, I have a teenager. It is wild in the teenage realm, and I'm sure we'll definitely get into that later on and all the different fun things that come with teenage fatherhood.
You know
And
what they
then,
say. You know what they say.
no, I don't. What
New
do they
Year.
say?
You start a new year when on New Year's Eve when the ball drops, and you enter puberty when the balls drop.
They
And
do.
I'm sure that's what's going on in your house.
It's begun. And then they
The
also
balls,
have
the
the two
balls have dropped.
the two young ones, McGuire and Wyatt. And Wyatt is a girl for all of you out there that don't know. Actually, we just registered for a preschool in our school district locally, Spencer. And the girl called me to talk about the registration. She said, "And both your boys are going to be there, right?" And I said, "Well, Wyatt hopefully says female on hers as well." So we like to trick people. But yes, McGuire and Wyatt are my two youngest. And family dynamic is awesome. Love being a daddy-o. And so glad that we can talk to you as another dad. Might have some other dads on in the future. Might have our dads on in the future.
Mm.
Spencer, let's talk about that real quick. One of my favorite sports memories of all time is with you, me, and our fathers winning the Dads and Lads and winning a wiffle ball championship, a 60-team wiffle ball tournament, and we won the championship. Our fathers were so ecstatic to get that win.
Yeah, our fathers were very happy, and you could say that you and I are both our father's greatest accomplishments. We it doesn't go unnoticed of how physically gifted we are, and how
No.
athletic we are, and how smart we are. And I'd like to think our dads played a small part in that. Obviously, the hours of training and off-season workouts that we put our bodies through, and time away from our families and
Oh,
friends, and just the thoughtfulness that puts into our preparation. But yeah, wiffle ball is one of those things that we take super seriously, travel the country playing. And here in St. Louis, the dads and lads took home a wiffle
mm,
ball championship, not only once, multiple leagues,
yeah.
multiple times.
What was the
And
other
I thought,
name, Spencer? Dads and Lads, and there was another one. There was another one. It was something more vulgar, something with the
I
word
think it had
vulgar.
something to do with balls. But that was with Scott Pulley and Kevin Pulley on our team over at the Sandbar.
Oh, we also won
Um, we won that
with their dad too. Shout
with
out Jeff
their
Foley.
dad. Yes. And yeah, so I know I'm kind of rambling here, but
Family
yeah,
Jewel. Family Jewels.
Family Jewel, that's
That
what it
was it.
was. Yeah. But
Family.
yeah, we won a 60 team tournament with our dads. And I remember when we won, our dads were just like, "Can you believe this?"
No,
We're
I
just like, "Yeah, we can."
Yeah, my dad peaked athletically in high school. Great basketball player in high school. That's where his peak went off. And then he got to college, and he liked to think he could still play basketball. So he actually went to SIU Carbondale and would play with the basketball team because they were on his floor, and they would go to open gym and they would play with him. And then he has, 3 torn ACL, three knee surgeries in one and 2 in the other. So quickly went downhill. But after winning that championship in the Tata Wiffle Ball tournament, he never stopped talking about it. So our dads are champions, and yes, have instilled that mindset of continuing to be a champion. So shout out to Mike, shout out to Kevin. I'm sure we'll have them on in the future.
Absolutely. And, talking about wiffle ball, being from St. Louis, a lot of our listeners are probably from St. Louis, but it might be wise of us to kind of give people a peek behind the curtain of
Absolutely.
Sports fandom and what it means in our families as dads, as sons, and just as people. So, Sam, let me ask you, Cardinals fan, yes.
Yes.
Are we in alignment there? Blues fan,
Blues fan.
yes.
Yep.
Now, what other sports are you fans of? I know NASCAR is a pretty big sport in the Skibbe household. Tell me about that.
NASCAR's a one that my dad has continued over and over again to try to get any person to join him in the fun. We've had some fantasy leagues that we've been a part of that he's dragged Gus and I into. But every once in a while, I'm still following along. My driver's Denny Hamlin, always been a Denny Hamlin fan, and his fierceness. And we actually went to Kansas Speedway. We surprised my dad with a trip to Kansas Speedway and got to see his first NASCAR. He signed the finish line. Was a cool experience for that too. But STL City, our brand new soccer team, starting season 2 as well. And I know, Spencer, you're a big football guy. After the Rams left, I haven't really watched a lot of football. A lot of this stuff, we talk about this to our listeners, and we want you kind of get an overview for this first podcast. We'll definitely dive into those sports. And when Cardinals baseball starts to begin, talk more Cardinals baseball. Spring training's already begun. But a lot of good stuff coming up with sports. But any other sports teams? I know football's big in your life. What Chiefs just won the Super Bowl. Let's talk about, your fandom first.
So Texas Longhorns, it runs deep in my family. Most of my family's from the state of Texas, and I've been a Texas Longhorn fan my entire life. Most of my adult life has been filled with mediocrity and misery. But as of last season, it was incredible. So went to the Sugar Bowl. We lost, but it was still a great experience. But college football, find me on a Saturday. I'm doing nothing but watching football. I just love college football. So.
Yeah. And, you mentioned our wiffle ball, niche, our wiffle ball, group that we've built over the years, traveling all over the country. We've been a part of national tournaments from all over, whether it's slow pitch, fast pitch, with cut balls, with big barrel bats, with small, the regular wiffle ball bats. We've done it all. And, one thing that will always connect us is our friends and our people that we've met through wiffle ball. You and I have connected through wiffle ball over the years. And we're going to be shouting out some different things throughout this podcast series with some wiffle ball. But one big thing we want to tell the listeners is both of us have actually been on ESPN with wiffle ball. You were first. You were the first wiffle baller in a long time. You were on the top 10 when Sports Center was a little bit bigger than now it is nowadays. But talk about that experience. That was one of your goals in life, and it was fulfilled through wiffle ball.
Actually, this is a great great comparison here, because actually it was what my dad's goal in life was for me to be on Sports Center. And so I was on Sports Center top 10 plays, made a diving catch over a fence in the national championship semifinals, I think back in 2017. And I ended up on Sports Center for like 2 days. It just kept rerunning. And my dad, I'll never forget. Yeah, I have to thank a lot of people. Probably Sam Skibbe here, because he DM'd people and got people to retweet.
I was the pitcher. I pitched the ball. Yeah, I hit the home run off of.
Sam pitched a meatball. We were losing in this game. We were trying to get over with, and we came back and won.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that the catch maybe sparked us a little bit.
It was the catalyst.
But I ended up on Sports Center, and I'll never forget talking to my dad, telling him, and he told me it was one of the greatest days of his life.
Seeing you.
I was on Sports Center.
Yeah, it was a fun moment. We had our whole wiffle ball league was watching. they had DVRs ready to go. Like everybody was waiting for which number is Spencer going to be. And I'm pretty sure you're like number 9, so it came up really fast. But it definitely
got
lasted.
All the way up to number 3.
Yes, it lasted a couple days. And then recently, my brother and my brother is your age. You and Gus grew up together. You and I went to the same high school. We went to the same college. We were in the same fraternity. In college, we were just 4 years apart. But you're my brother's age, my younger brother's age. And he and I went to South Carolina this past summer and competed in the NWLA, the Wiffle Ball All-Star event on ESPN, the Ocho, which was quite a fun experience. And I know you and a bunch of the guys went to a local bar that our Wiffle Ball League is sponsored by, and all got to watch and cheer us on. So it was a fun experience, and it is on all the time. It is on late night all the time. It comes on in random moments.
And it was very fun. I mean, seeing you all on TV, got all of our guys. We had about 20 guys at this bar restaurant. We're all collectively cheering you guys on, and it was very fun to watch. And watching some of the other players that we've come to know and love by going to nationals all these years. So it was very awesome. Now, Sam, not to like change the subject on you, but as you know, being a married man with children, anytime you even decide to breathe or make food or go to the store, oftentimes our wives will ask us, "Where are you going? Why are you doing that? Did so-and-so do this? Did you do this yet?" And, we'll of course smile back and say, "Yes, honey," or "Yes, dear," or "Of course I did," or "What would you like me to do?" But when I told my wife, Courtney, I was starting a podcast with you, she had a lot of questions and she was a little confused.
Okay.
she's like, "Okay, you're doing a podcast." So she asked me a couple questions, and I wanted to ask you these questions to see if they matched up with the answers I gave. Okay. So why are we starting a podcast? that was question number 1. So why did you want to start this podcast, Sam?
That's funny, Spencer, that you asked that, because Anne had a very similar question when I told her, episode 1 is going to get recorded tonight with Spencer. She's like, "Don't you already do podcasts for Wiffle Ball? Like, why do you need to add more?" And this is just something that you and I have wanted to do. We recently have new jobs, and I'm sure we'll get into our careers, sometime within these podcasts. And we recently have new jobs that allow us to be kind of stay at home. We have a bit of travel that we have to do. So we have some time, whether that's before our workday starts, right after our workday starts, before we pick up kids, whatever it may be, we have some time that we can kind of set aside to just talk and connect with one another as well. You and I get to see each other at different events that come up, or we see each other on Thursday nights for a local wiffle ball league we play in St. Louis. And it's just nice to kind of connect and talk with you, and also just kind of connect and talk more about fatherhood and our lives outside of, our sports connections that we have. You actually, Spencer, you married Ann and I. You were our officiant. So like we have these so many connections with one another that we've been a part of big moments of our lives. You have seen me, Spencer, at my darkest hours, and you have seen me at my best moments. And I could think of no other person that I would want to share and keep showing those experiences with our listeners. So I'm very excited to start this new adventure with you and see where it goes.
And I appreciate you saying that. I'm actually honored that I got asked, because I did marry you and Ann, but I did sign the marriage certificate incorrectly.
That's all right.
If I'm not mistaken. No, I think I put the year. I think I was like a year too late or too early. I don't know. But nonetheless, you're married. You have beautiful children.
Yeah, it worked out.
And here it worked out. So, but yeah, I agree. I kind of gave Courtney a similar answer. Her next question was, okay, well, how often are you going to be doing this? So I was like, that's a good question. What did you tell Ann?
I mean, it's not going to be might not be every week, it's just kind of like, we'll play it by ear. I think the goal, like when we started the planning process, the goal was possibly to go, 2 times a month, and if it happens once a month, so be it. If it happens, once a week in a certain month, then that's fine too. It's going to be kind of when there's something that needs to be said, or when there's a big event that happened that we want to talk about, we want to share it with our listeners, then let's get on and talk about it. We'll find some time that works in our schedules. And, we both travel for our work. So it's just a matter of finding that time. And and making a point to talk about those things. So is that what you kind of align with as well?
Yeah, I told her, I said, listen here, woman. No, actually, I said, you know what? We're doing this to, we're just doing it as we go. We're going to see how this goes, and
Yep.
I think we'll end up doing it more than we expect because
There's
it's going
no
to be pretty
playbook.
fun. It's going to be fun. We're
Yeah.
going to become really famous.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
like our sponsors are actually going to demand we do more.
I
So,
know. And we're going to be
you know,
making so much money off this podcast, Spencer, that our
yeah,
wives want us to do it more and more. It's
that's
just,
right. They're like, don't you have a podcast to
yeah.
do?
They're
Yeah.
scheduling it
So,
for us. Yeah.
so anyways, I think we're on the same page there. Courtney's last question was like, okay, you're going to do this every once in a while. You're friends with Sam. You guys want to do this thing, but why would anyone listen to it? So,
That's a great question, Courtney. That's
and
a
I
great
said,
question.
that's a valid question. I'd like to think I'm a pretty funny guy.
Yep.
Also, for those who want to watch, our video portion, we're both very attractive men.
So handsome. I mean, when you
So
said
it's
athletically gifted, I mean, people can just see it in the
yeah,
shades of my four eyes that they know. Yeah.
exactly.
Uh,
So, we have a lot to give. Um,
we're givers. We're
but
givers.
but besides looks and just like that perspective, I don't know why someone would listen. What do you think? Why do you think people should listen to us?
I think, like we talked about, we have these niches, these weird connections, and these weird things. Not only just all the things that we can offer the dads out there, because we say we're Nacho Average Daddios, but we're still new at this, right? Like we're still going through this part of life, and we're going through it together. We're going through it with our siblings and our friends, and we're seeing firsthand how hard parenthood can be, and the funny, amazing, awesome things that happen out of parenthood too. So why not share that with everybody else, our different stories that they might be able to relate to, and then also find those niche groups. We love Survivor, the TV show Survivor. We love wiffle ball. Like these are really small niches that people might find. They might find a love in those things if we bring that to them as well. And there's lots of other things too. We'll get into our careers in the future and the different sports we may have played in the past or things like that too. I mean, our relationship goes as deep as I even am the sports announcer for our alma mater. I do the football and basketball games. And guess who dances at halftime at every single game, people? Guess who?
Me? No, my sister.
Your sister. Every time. And
16.
they are a talented Palms team. Their dance team is really amazing. They just went to Orlando and competed as well. I actually don't know how they did. I know that's bad, but I don't know if you do.
They did not win.
I don't think, but they are very good, especially their hip hop.
They are good.
I know their hip hop
Absolutely.
routine has won awards before. So all these little weird connections that we have for each other. So a lot of these stories, hopefully we can bring some joy to people, bring some laughter. And if you're on a drive one day, you have a long drive, we'd love to share some different things with you.
Absolutely. And Sam, I think we're probably coming to the end here for this podcast, but it really wouldn't be a podcast with two dads without some dad jokes. So I feel like we should do some dad jokes at the end of every podcast. What do you think?
I think so too. I think we should definitely do dad jokes. Dad jokes are my favorite. Halloween is one of my favorite holidays, simply because in St. Louis, it's a huge thing. And it's not everywhere else, Spencer. Did you know that?
Yeah, you got to tell a joke. You got to tell a joke at every
house. You tell a joke
candy.
to get candy. That's what you do. And one of my favorite ones that I've always constantly said, and my son doesn't get, but it's topical for him. He loves dinosaurs. And one of my favorite ones is, why can't you hear a pterodactyl use the restroom? And you know why, Spencer?
Because they don't know how to poop.
Because P is silent. That's right.
Good.
That's the double meaning of a dad joke right there. The organic dad jokes are also great too. But there's some of those dad jokes that those double meanings that are great. I've always come back to that one, and my son still doesn't get it, but the minute he gets it, that's when it's going to be a, hit your foot dad joke situation.
I like that one. Now, when I tell you my dad joke, I need to ask you not to smile. Just keep that smile in. Do not smile. Okay?
I'm already smiling.
Don't smile.
All right, here we go.
Okay. How did the
you can't even get through it.
Okay, here we go.
3, 2, 1.
New York. Unique New York. Okay. How did the piano get locked out of its car.
I think I know. I'll let you say it.
Don't smile.
Yeah.
He lost his keys.
Mm.
Also, picture a piano trying to drive a car. That would be awkward as hell.
Maybe he had the wrong key. Some would say. Who knows? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us for the first episode of Nacho Average Daddios Podcast. Our other episodes might be a little bit longer, but for this first one, we wanted to kind of give you an overview of all the things we'll talk about: live sports, entertainment, whatever comes up with us. For Spencer Bogad, I'm Sam Skibbe. We'll see you next time. Hopefully you'll join us again. Spotify, YouTube. Hopefully you'll see us again on social media. Come across your feed. Nacho Average Daddios Podcast, episode 2 coming at you soon. We'll see you next time.
Bye.